What up, Raffleaders? Welcome back to my channel. Here we are in South Ruimveldt Gardens. This is Caneview Avenue. This is the back end of South Ruimveldt Gardens. You can see these are some of the original homes in this neck of the woods. And on the other side, that's where they're building that new resort hotel, 4 Points Resort. And this is Greenheart Street. The last time we were in this neck of the woods, I showed you what's happening on Greenheart Street, and I want to show you a little bit more in this neck of the woods, what has changed. So this is Caneview Avenue. Like I said, this used to be the back end of the south end of South Ruimveldt Gardens, and across that canal, across that little trench, was cane field, sugar cane field. All of that was sugar cane field. So back in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, if you came down here, you could cross over. There were like short bridges that you can cross, and you can pick up sugar cane. You can pick sugar cane. These are some of the original homes here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. Some of the original homes in South Ruimveldt Gardens here on Caneview Avenue, and some of them have been modified. As you can see, some of them are still in the original format. So that one is the original shape. It's been well maintained. And some of them have been modified in the 1980s with enclosures. Some of them modified later on in the 1990s, where they got much more extensive concrete work done. You can see the clay brick work on that building, which reminds you of a time in Guyana in the 1980s when there was a clay brick factory, and a lot of the homes were being constructed from locally manufactured clay brick. But this is Caneview Avenue here in South Ruimveldt Gardens on a bright Monday morning in May. It's the 22nd of May 2023. And what we want to do is to show you how things have changed, how things are changing here in Georgetown, Guyana. Now all that land used to be Gaisuko's land, and it's now been reclaimed by the government, and it's now being developed for housing and residences. These are some of the original homes here in Caneview Avenue in South Ruimveldt Gardens. And this next street, which we'll take a walk down just so you can see how things have changed. This next street is Powys Street. Powys Street doesn't go all the way. Powys Close. Alright? This one doesn't go all the way out to the front. That is what is that? But as you can see, there are new homes being built in this neighborhood. Alright, so people are still building new homes, and what is different, let's take a brief walk down here. What is different about construction and the buildings being constructed in 2023 is that they are much bigger. So like I said, a lot of the renovations that took place in the 1990s and 2000s looked like this. They were converted into concrete homes. This in fact was more recently built. As you can see, there's a garage on the side here that's clearly reminiscent of North America, right? So people who have been rebuilding their homes and modifying and renovating their homes more recently have been choosing to build in a format of homes in the North American tradition, Canada and the American South. Right, so it's a little cul-de-sac called Powys Close. And somebody's building a much larger property at the end of the cul-de-sac on this side. But in the 1980s, a lot of the renovation here was simply to convert downstairs, the bottom flat, what we used to call bottom house, into a concrete structure. And then later on in the 1990s, people started making them into complete concrete structures, both upstairs and downstairs. And then in the 2000s, people started building bigger homes. 2010s and beyond, they started looking like homes in North America, Ontario, Canada, and Georgia, where a lot of, and Florida, where a lot of Guyanese diaspora still lives, and where people started to remigrate from. But this was the original, one of the original housing developments in Georgetown. You know, back in the heyday of the Burnham era. This was the progressive era when the national goal was to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. Feed, clothe, and house the nation. You were supposed to be self-sufficient in housing, food, and clothes. So they built a glass factory, and they built a brick factory, and they built a, what was that, cloth, cotton, fabric factory. All right, some of these homes have been well maintained. Some of them have been renovated, and some of them have been completely torn down. There you go. This little boy is happy to see us. Yeah, some of them have been torn down and rebuilt, like this one. That's reminiscent. That is what the cane fields look like. And some of these trees are actually pretty old. Some of these trees were here before I was born. Right, that's what used to be sugarcane field on that side. This is Baramita. Okay, so this one goes all the way out to Aubrey Barker Road. So this is Baramita Street here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. We're going to take a walk down Baramita Street. This is what the cane view of Caneview Avenue looks like. In other words, all of that used to be sugar cane fields, and you could cross that little trench canal and pick some sugar cane back in the day for a snack. So this is what more recent modifications of homes in South Ruimveldt Gardens look like compared to what they were originally. So this is how South Ruimveldt Gardens is changing and has changed. You know, the original homes were built on, this one seems to have been built on 2 acres, two plots of land, and so they managed to double wide, have a double wide house, but kept the original format. On this side, some modifications to the original home as well, but the house at the corner was completely rebuilt. Like this one was also completely rebuilt into something much bigger than what was originally here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. This one, you can see that the midsection retains the original house, but it was extended on the back and the front. Right, so this is what South Ruimveldt Gardens looks like in 2023. Baramita Street in South Ruimveldt Gardens, and you can see the original DNA, the original house that was built back in the 1970s, right? You can still see the structure within these new homes. For example, back in the 1980s, this was quite popular, where they built a huge facade, huge concrete facade in front of the house. Similar idea here. So this is how you know when the renovations took place. So this would have been a 1980s renovation because of the style. Some of these are extensions of the original home, and some of them are still in the original format here on Barometer Street. This, for example, complete renovation in the 1980s. The clay brick, you can see it's a painted clay brick, right? You can see some of the features. This is Takit Drive here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. But you can see, for example, this one, some of the remnants of original home is still there, but modifications have been applied. This is an original home, original house in South Ruimveldt Gardens. That's what they look like in the original form. So this is how the neighborhood has changed, guys. If you recognize some of these homes, you've lived perhaps in this neighborhood and you understand, you know, the timelines for some of these renovations, modifications, changes here on Barometer Street, and you want to explain. This one, for example, has garage doors in the front, which tells you clearly an import from, that's the architecture, imported from North America, where it's cold and you need enclosed garages. And the size of the home tells you that it was probably renovated in the 2000s. So the architecture as well as the size tells you when it was renovated. This one probably in the 1990s because it's fully concrete. Right, this is what has happened here in, this is an original classic, right? So this is classic, original, unmodified format of the South Ruimveldt Gardens home. Those are some of the early modifications, right, with the veranda out front. Some of the early modifications were to put in a veranda out front, and later people enclosed the bottom flat, made it concrete, and then later some people made the entire house into a concrete home. And it still continues, right? So this neighborhood is still changing in 2023. There are people building new homes on these lots, buying them up and building, because of course now as the city grows and the country grows and expands, the economy expands, a lot of these properties are now prime real estate, prime residential real estate. What is interesting is that you don't see the infiltration of commercial property like you do some other parts of the city, at least not yet. Perhaps more so on this front side of South Ruimveldt Gardens, Aubrey Barker Road. You might see that more on Aubrey Barker Road. But this is what it looks like in 2023. These are some of the modifications here on Barometer Street in South Ruimveldt Gardens. But here on Aubrey Barker Road is where you probably will see the most commercial modifications, renovations, and infiltration. This says it's a 5G dialysis center, and on this side it's Barometer Street and Aubrey Barker Road. You can see these homes are recently modified and renovated here on Aubrey Barker Road. That's Aubrey Barker Road looking west towards the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can see the traffic circle, and the new, you can and the new East Bank Bypass Road. And on this side, this is going east further into South Ruimveldt Gardens and towards that second junction that takes you into Tuckville and Festival City and so on. So that's it, guys. This is what's happening here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. Showed you a little bit of the back side, right? So these were original South architecture homes built in South Ruimveldt Gardens that have been modified. This one apparently built on at least 2 lots, you know, been modified and renovated and rebuilt into much larger homes. So here you can see one of the, or 2 of the homes that were in the original form factor. Just wanted to show you some of the changes here in South Ruimveldt Gardens. That's a tire shop on the other side of Aubrey Barker Road. As we get to this junction, just want to show you before the end of this video what is happening here on Aubrey Barker Road 2023. So this is what the original houses in South looks like when they were built. In other words, the size and the form, right, the form factor, until they were modified, like I said, to concrete. But this is new. This is still being renovated, modified. Somebody probably purchased 3 or more of the contiguous house lots and decided to build a much larger establishment here. Seems as if it's going to be a commercial establishment based on Keisha's Crab Shack, it says. Doesn't seem to be occupied right now. Oh, it's for sale. It's for sale by Remax, right? Nick Mirage, and there's a WhatsApp number. And D. Ram Prasad also has a WhatsApp number. One Nation Realty. So this building is for sale here at High Palm Road on Aubrey Barker Road in South Ruimveldt Gardens. Got the name of the street. High Palm Road. And that's the entrance to Tuckville. We'll cover that in a future video. Just wanted to show you what's happening here in South Ruimveldt Gardens, here on Aubrey Barker Road in 2023. So that's it, guys. Want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. That's looking east, further deep into South Ruimveldt Gardens. Want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In future videos we will explore deeper into South, some more of the streets, look at some of the changes. If you recognize some of the properties, the buildings, the locations, the streets, share with us what you remember of this neighborhood and how it has changed since the last time you were in this neck of the woods. And I will show you as we go forward how oil and gas is changing some of these neighborhoods in Guyana because of the inflow of wealth and capital from the oil and gas industry. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!